Hello and welcome back to another episode of Tomorrow by Design. As a follow-up to last episode's Green Building for Dummies, we will be delving into more active ways of making your buildings greener, both commercial and residential. And seeing that it is tax season in Kenya, your resident energy accountants will be sharing tips and tricks on how to move from net zero to net positive and even tapping into those green bonds. So let's jump into it.
So we were talking about biophilia and integrating that for health and well-being. We've covered passive design, that helps in regulating the cost that is attached to energy inefficiency. So how can we mitigate that? And we have also mentioned the more active practice. No, we did not actually. So let's get into it.
The active practice.
Yeah, like if it's about heating and how much electricity you need to pay for in order to run your dishwasher or to heat your water, what can you do to make sure that that cost goes lower? Like maybe installing a solar panel in the initial construction, or at least if you don't have enough cash to do that in the first place, just have the piping done so that when you actually so you
grow in the future.
Yes. So if it's the initial cost of a solar panel, which can be a bit costly for some people, but I'm currently building, can I make provisions? So if it's installing those water heaters that were there in the older buildings, you remember them?
Yeah,
the ones that was caked in cement. Those ones, but now.
But I think there's something you mentioned that I think brings across, but that's to be honest, would be a whole podcast on its own. But now, when you're talking about the cost of construction and using other alternative mini sources of energy like solar. So another thing is with green building, you can do the passive mini, can do the passive design, or natural ventilation and all that good stuff. But now if this sana comes in the office spaces, or at least from what I've seen, if you're, because kauna city AC in a residential, you go tunes, man.
In this tropical climate, you need to get another argument.
Let's not go all the way to an AC.
Was it? Anyway, what I was trying to say was...
But I think we definitely need heating. Cooling, not so much. You can use natural ventilation. But these buildings get cold. They get really, really cold.
Yeah, so I was saying, as much as you can really do all the passive like strategies and whatnot, when it gets to a point where it works, but they still need for the people over there to feel a bit more comfortable. Now you decide, okay, maybe you need like an AC or something. Or even in those other now active measures is what we're saying. Is when the initial cost, of course, you have to be high. But now the thing is now, for example, city solar. You do solar right now when you're constructing, you will pay the initial cost and whatnot for the solar, for the whole system and the installation, which might be costly at first. But then again, now it's looking at utajenga nyumba na si ati utaenda, assuming now you're building owner. When unaishi hapo unajenga nyumba lakini lazima
I was chilling at home waiting for English and umeingiza kwa Hispanic.
So you're going to build a building. You're going to do the whole construction project rather. Umalize uko na building sasa. Building itakaa hapo, of course itaishiwa. So it only makes sense that since the building is also going to be managed, we also think of costs this anyway. So you might pay more right now for that solar. But then ukianza kulipa hizo bills, you're looking at how you're using your energy. You'll find that there's a way you can offset what you're using currently. Natumia stima ya grid ya KPLC. Na vile wanatufanyanga saa zingine, but anyway, that's a whole other thing.
We talk about it just a bit. We talk about that in just a bit.
No. But anyway, so You use Kenya Power Steamer, and then you can also switch with your solar. Let's say you're starting small, you are setting a goal to be fully off grid by this time. But the one that you started with, you'll find that now you're saving more money, you're paying less bills to Kenya Power because of this other renewable source
Source
that
of
you've used.
energy.
So so the idea is you look at your costs from a life cycle approach. Initial cost might be high depending on how you design it, because that's not always the case. Then you'll come to recoup it. You'll find you'll get your return on investment.
Yeah.
Do you remember in the previous episode, Louis, we spoke about how energy auditors are leveraging resources, are leveraging finances, and then producing these renewable systems for companies, and then getting paid based on those savings.
Yeah.
I think a system like that would also be beneficial for people who are trying to set up renewable energy in their homes.
That's very true.
Right?
It is. You know, what I've actually just realized right now is that so the previous episode, but for our listeners, will be the next one because that one hasn't gone yet. So munapata foreshadowing. Only in TPT.
Time is relative, Papa. This is some Back to the Future stuff.
Yes.
It's like right there.
So there's that. Then I think we should also look at water. So here's something.
But before we go to water, in energy, there's different paradigms, right? So there's levels similar to these levels. So first, where you can get the most savings, think of this as a triangle. At the base of this triangle, where you can get the most savings is conserving energy, simply using less energy. So finding ways in your design to use less energy. And this starts from design, right? So first, your orientation, your shading, your form, like is that space, does it serve its function? Is it excessive in the way that it serves its function? So a small footprint should be prioritized, right? And then now, after you've conserved as much energy as possible, you've used LED lighting, you've reduced the amount of energy. First, you've reduced the space, right? So you have less spaces that you need to light up. That means you need less bulbs. So you've reduced the amount of energy you're using. The next step after that is now energy efficiency, right? So we make sure that the bulbs that we have, they're efficient in how they're using energy, right? So these compact fluorescent bulbs, they use significantly less energy than the other warm light bulbs. I forgot what they're called. So making sure that now your appliances not mere less energy. So those things, that's the next tier. So first you've conserved energy, and the energy that you're using very efficiently. So now the next step, now the tip of this triangle is now the solar panels, the renewable energy. So you've already minimized your footprint. So even when you're sizing your solar panel, like you don't have to buy an oversized panel because you already have savings uko chini. Right, so that thinking of it from a holistic point of view is very beneficial.
Not just approaching it from one point of solution, but multiple.
Which I think.
And these buildings,
like an energy saving.
These buildings, they're interconnected.
Now, actually, a lot of you made the news story said now that goes to another one we're going to drop. So from the whole paradigms that what Sydney has said, now that leads to another goal within green buildings. So it's not enough to be green, but the ultimate, in my opinion, is now net zero. So net zero buildings. You've already conserved, you've already been efficient with how you're using your buildings, with how you're using that energy that you've conserved, and then now you're using on-site renewables. May get to a point where you find that all these things, the thing about green buildings and the whole thing about energy, I don't think we mentioned was that energy has related emissions. There are energy-related emissions rather. So from this whole climate story and whatnot. So the figures usually are that buildings account for 39% of energy-related greenhouse gas emissions. So now by putting all those measures into place, unafika mahali where you get that, let's say you started with 20% efficient from, what was the first paradigm against it?
Conservation. So you're
Conservation.
using 20%, your space requires 20% less energy. But yeah.
So you've achieved 20% from conservation alone.
Yeah.
Then you get to now the efficient
Yeah.
side. You're in the building, you're using it, tumia kettle, tumia hot showers, whatever, all that. But you've used the right, or at least you've used the more efficient fixtures that usually use less energy. So now you've gotten to 40%.
Yeah.
Less, or whatever figure it is. This is just for argument's sake. Then now you get to your renewable sites. So that means already you're at 40% less emissions. So umefika kwa renewables. An ideal setting to say the renewables you're using right now, you make a system where now that solar is has basically now replaced your need for the grids, whatever electricity. So you no longer need Kenya Power. And you're fully, let's say, off grid. So now that means, since it's renewable energy, now that means you've gotten to zero emissions.
It's almost 60. Guys,
And that just
get
basically,
yourself a solar panel.
exactly. So that just basically means that umefika sasa net zero. That's the term that if you've heard of it before, that's what it basically means. And I thought it was important. It was important to note, especially the way Sidney was explaining on the paradigms. Is there anything else?
Okay, so I want to ask or confirm.
You can do it. You might not.
Yes. So are there a lot of, I've read about now buildings that do even more than that, and they now feed into the grid.
Yeah.
You now contribute.
Yes. Are there a lot of that, or is that also kind of just a pipe dream or an ideal one we look up to? Is there anything?
There's one case I remember we were studying in uni. I'm not sure how true this was now, but anyway, there's one case I remember we were studying about this in uni. So about two rivers. So they were saying there are two rivers gets its name from the literally two rivers that are flowing over in Roka. One is River Roka, I always forget the other one. So apparently what they were, so they use the water from the two rivers to operate the building. So what they did is that during design, they put some whole number of measures. But from that system, that whole water efficient system that they created, what was happening now that when it came to operating the building, one of those systems was a water recycling system. So I think they were recycling water from sinks, from what they were flushing. Not sure, but
Water.
yes. Let's just say wastewater. So from that water they were recycling, they started realizing that we're actually using less recycled water than we need. So, and we have a surplus. What do we do with that surplus? So now they feed it back into the two rivers.
Really?
So now, if I remember Vizuri from our class, they were saying apparently, so before two rivers was built, the rivers over there were seasonal. Those two rivers were seasonal. But now after all those things they did with the design and whatnot, and the water that they're feeding back, it's now permanent. You can say it's now permanent because of the excess water that's being channeled back.
Oh, nice. Well,
So net positive. Oh, Sasa.
net positive. Thank you. This is what you were looking for.
Sitting on terminology.
We will find more information about this two rivers process and link it
in the show notes.
Yes.
Yes. So, I mean, we've spoken about the benefits. Are there any challenges that are currently being experienced by people, individuals, either at a domestic or a corporate level when it comes to actualizing green buildings?
Interesting. So I at least can say for now there's a bit of change, especially after a whole lot has been going on within the built environment space. But you'll still find that we have more buildings which are coming up, more green buildings rather, which are now coming up. But now, majorly the issue has been, or rather the gap has been, not a lot of people know about what green buildings are.
So it's about building awareness?
Yes, yes. So building awareness is what we would use now as a solution to that. So you find that you're going to, or rather you're talking to people, you're telling about green buildings, they're like, hey, green building ni nini? Green building ni kitu unaweka maua, unaweka, what do you call this thing? What do you call it? Creepers on a wall. So creepers, you put creepers that are climbing walls or whatnot, and then we say, okay, green building.
Green building, yeah, you are.
So yeah, I think not a lot of people still understand what exactly a green building is. What we do probably is explain now. Building C building, green C building, you can miti peke yake. That alone is not enough.
I think developers and commercial builders, they know how to build green. They know they are aware of these principles. Even if not all of them practice them, they are aware. But developers who bought a shamba and they want to build the house, they want to build some flats over there, where most people go and rent in Kiambu or in Rwaka. These individuals, like developers are pretty aware of green building principles. Like the people who are building, who bought a piece of land, they've invested the hard-earned cash, and they want now a proper investment, right? These people, they don't have they don't know. It's true, this information has not gotten to them that they can use these principles to, 1, save energy, 2, reduce greenhouse gas emissions, and 3, maintain the comfort of their homes. And there's 4, and 4 is the most important one. That you can get investment if you build green. You can get money, cash money, green thing, if you build green, right? There are investments that have been set aside.
Yes.
Yeah, brand. The green is following you. Yes.
The green is strong.
So in future, when they say green building, they'll be saying, hey, green building is the kanga chums komfuko. It's the money tree. I don't know, something like that. But now but to invest in this, to be able to access these investments, somebody has to verify that you're green certified, right? Somebody has to say that this guy has used the principles and this is what you've gotten, and it's true that this impact has been mitigated, or this has been achieved. But then now, in order to do that, you need a framework that is reliable and that you can trust. And that's where certifications come in. That's why you invest that money in getting certified, because now you can leverage that and access better finances. And Louis right now is going to tell you about a company that has done just that. Yeah,
this building, or rather this company, to say that mumefikisha green building standards, here's your certificate. And they use that during the design stage, and these those certificates to leverage better rates for financing, or at least get what's called climate financing, green bonds. So a whole other thing. So they use those green bonds to construct the entire portfolio of projects. So what's interesting about this portfolio is that I'm sure a lot of you guys know about, for the right or wrong reasons, I'm not sure.
Probably the wrong reasons, but let's not get into that. No, the right reason.
Anyway, so what do you call it? Qwetu hostels. And so that means that if you want to use an example of a green building, but then the assignments, but the next episode you should get any feedback that you have visited these places. But anyways, yes, if you want to an example of a green building, you can go to basically, I think almost all the Qwetu hostel outlets, branches. Unaweza iangalia kutoka nje tu. Okay, film play can
Really give me the immersive experience I'm looking for.
You can look at other examples. But yes, particularly for student financing, for student housing rather, so Qwetu hostels, Qwetu Wilson View, Qwetu what's the other one? Parklands. Yeah, Hurlingham Civil on here.
There's the one in Nini, South.
Yes.
There's the one in SIU.
There's the USER.
Mm-hmm.
There's the one. Thika Road. Is that one?
That one is the USIU one.
Mm.
The Thika Road one. There's the one on Outer Ring Road, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
you can't miss the Qwetu.
So anyways,
Yeah.
Orange and white.
so all of that was built by
We will
The city
link
limit.
it to the show notes as well, so that you
have a
can
look.
check out.
City of buildings. Everywhere.
And the sponsor of today's episode is Qwetu Hostels. No, it's not.
So yeah, all those ninis were built through green bonds, and that was only having them certified first as green. These green bonds, they built it. Now people live there. They are green buildings, and like Sid was saying, probably a lot of people don't realize that these buildings that are already existing are green. In fact, actually, it's most they can say is I remember meeting the site engineer for Qwetu Hostels. So we're just having a conversation on green buildings because he was like, okay, I'm interested in this green buildings thing. What is it about? So when we're talking about the green buildings, all the elements and nini, I was like, okay, this sounds very conceptual. Is this something that's already happened? Is this on ground? Or it's just some term that everyone is just running with that.
That's concerning.
But Nini, so now I was like, okay, sawa. So I gave him, at this time I didn't even know he was a site engineer for Qwetu. It was the first time I meeting. So now I told him about now Qwetu Hostels and the whole what they've done in Nini. All the strategies they put, how they got to green building status. Then he was like, mimi nilikuwa hapo tukijenga na mimi sikujua hizi vitu zote zilipanga green, but I was like, yeah, so now you know. So yeah, actually just goes to the point where like what Sid was saying. You might be building green, it's only that you just don't know about it.
And also the awareness in terms of knowledge share within a company. Because in the conceptual stage of the design, everyone who is involved, who is at that table, knows that we are constructing a green building. But then as you go further down the line, when the implementation is happening, now like the engineers on ground, are they called craftsmen? The masons, the construction workers, are they aware that this is what they're doing? And how can it also help them? Like if it's on my CV that I have been part of constructing a green building, does it then give them more opportunities to work in other projects that have similar ambitions? Because I think in finding people who can...
It should. That's a good idea. It's a good idea.
Yeah, finding people who have the same vision as
They get invested.
Yes, it just makes it easier in delivery. You won't have a scenario where it's like, haifanyangu hivi, sisi tunafanyanga. Because they also have a framework where they're referencing from. If they're not used to putting certain bulbs, like hapana battery ndio inakaanga vizuri. Wekeni hose extension, sio LED.
Which actually brings me to another point that I believe is a challenge. Have you ever read this
yes,
little poem? Thank you for your support. Let me finish though. Yes. It's usually when you're waiting in a government office, it's one of those things that are just printed out and stuck on the wall. Some people are like wheelbarrows. And other people are what is the comparison? They just basically mean that there's people who can get up and do their own, they do the things that I know are right, but there's others who's a lot of Kenyans identify with. You have to be pushed fast. They have to be pushed fast for them to know that this is the right thing to do, or so like most Kenyans just won't do something just because it's right. They'll do something because they have to do it. So when you come with
but I can't blame them if building green.
Yes. like building
Or
green.
if considering these measures is going to cost you money.
No, but it's going to.
It's going to cost you money and effort. You're going to tend to not
Okay, but
want to do it.
No, most people don't see it that way. Most people are like, do I have to do it? You know, the way that I'm doing is working.
That's where regulations come in.
But now it's still a challenge.
Yeah.
It's still a
That's where regulations come in.
Yes, that's where regulations come in. So now,
And that's why construction is a slow changing business. It does not evolve quickly. It evolves very slowly. Because when that mason learns how to do his thing, it's just gonna do that for it, because you can't build without these people. So how can you adapt their construction techniques zikwe more sustainable? So for example, masons in these local buildings, I'm not gonna say no developer hire building in Raraka, right? So they use machine cut stones and concrete.
yeah, but it's not.
Sorry?
The thing is, it's not just down to the very people who are building it with their hands. It's down to the contractor deciding, we just need this building up quickly. We don't need to.
But I think it's not
time. You know that
Mapema is best.
Mapema is best. This has worked for me. I've built 3 buildings all at once without thinking too much about, who is going to live in them and what they are going to breathe. And and the government is like, affordable housing, Pandisha.
You definitely have to. The government has a role to play in making policies that promote these.
Their role doesn't just end at regulating policies. They should actually lead by example. So, like we met this guy from
lead by example,
who kept on emphasizing. Let me ask you guys: affordable buildings are like a huge priority to the government, and they have been for a couple of years now.
Yeah.
But is affordable housing really livable? Is it sustainable?
Yes, that's
right?
a good question.
And the government is playing a really huge role in building these things, but are they really taking a step, like a stand, like this is the road that I will follow till the end? And if we're going to make our own buildings, why not make them more livable? Why not invest in these other practices that are going to help us meet our goals regionally, nationally, and affect these people that we're trying to get housing for positively, So their role goes beyond just making the policies. Take the lead, have a stand.
It's true.
Exactly.
It brings about the question of, does affordability and quality have to be they have to fight? Like, are they mutually exclusive?
Yes.
Because if it's like, just to digress just a bit.
No, I believe if you take these principles early in the design phase, if you approach somebody who has these, who is aware of these principles and who is aware of the decisions that matter, if you bring him on early enough, even before you select a site, then you can be able to save money in the long run. If you incorporate these principles into the initial design, the additional investment that people always refer to for building green is right now it's very low. It's really low. In fact, some green measures save you money. For example, so that you save on materials, so that you reduce the emissions that come from those materials. You do post-tensioning, and post-tensioning is gonna save you money. So in fact, you will have saved money because you use green principles.
Yeah.
And I think that's the next step, to get these people to integrate, to call professionals very, very early in the design phase. And that means our prices have to be good. We have to make it good for them to do it. And the government also has to make it good for them to do it. Because in the bigger scheme of things, it's beneficial to the entire world, to us.
Because it starts with the regulation, as you're saying, then the trickle down of the information. So in as much as the real estate developer knows that this is a green building, when they were seeking for the financing, the green bonds, does the mtu wa mjengo, the guy who's actually ferrying stuff, does he also know this is what I'm contributing to? And building, yes. So also giving them a chance in, so that when someone says I'm a Mason, it's actually a prestigious thing. Like it's not, hey, oh no, look at it's a whole, I think, looking at it holistically, we can make it affordable, but it doesn't have to lose the qualities that make it a livable building, a livable space, and one that is, because in the end, it's also economically friendly. It's an economically savvy decision to have a green building.
Mm-hmm.
And hey, sounds like that's a summary.
Mm.
That was quick.
I mean,
guys, time flies when I'm with you people.
It does. For me, it works.
We know.
Oh wow!
Terrible joke, but anyway.
Gonna be in trouble with that one.
I know what
That's taken. But anyway, so yeah, I mean, it's green buildings for dummies. There's a whole lot of things that comes with green buildings. So it's not that I'm calling anyone a dummy because I'm also. But anyway, so what I was trying to say
is the king of all dummies the biggest dummy or the smartest person?
Food for thought.
The person who thinks he knows everything. That's the biggest dummy.
Or literally bigger. Okay. Anyways, so yeah, this is just to get you up to speed with what green buildings are, the whole shebang about how they came about, why we need them, what makes one. So there's a whole lot of things that we've said over here. Things we'd be very happy to go discuss and sink our teeth into. And then that now goes back to the feedback. It'll depend on William Tatuambia. So whatever it is that you guys want to hear us talk about next, please let us know. I'm sure we'll plug in our socials at the end, but yeah.
Yeah, and as a parting shot for me, a little fun fact, 70% of the buildings that are going to be standing in 2050 have not yet been built. So we have to decide how we're going to build these.
How are we going to shape the future? How will we design our tomorrow?
That's on all of us. Yeah, how will we design our tomorrow? I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
It's like every movie that we need. Isn't this maybe whenever you're at that point of the movie where they
mention the name of the movie,
the title of the movie?
Yep.
So at least you know how we came to be.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
There it is, folks. So if you have more questions about what green buildings are, we will have show notes that will be linked to this particular podcast, this episode. And we encourage you to go out there. If you have a Kafuroti Maguta and you're planning to put up a building, consider some of the things that we've spoken about. And follow us on our socials, please. So you can also tag us with photos or videos or comments about your experiences in if you've come across a green building and what you liked about it or what you think could have been done a little bit better. Yeah. So tafadhali, follow us on our socials, Instagram, Twitter, and on all our streaming platforms.
Yeah.
So we have been doing the most out here, people. That's Tomorrow by Design. And yeah, we look forward to seeing you in the next episode.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us. Bye.